I'm just going to turn this on, even though I'm still eating. It'll take me a minute to get into the space, take people a minute to get into the space, so we'll just start chit-chatting. First thing I think that comes to mind in clearing through these cobwebs, blowing out the dust, in this revelation of the truth, kind of where we left off yesterday. What's the word? Anxiety is kicking up, so we'll discuss anxiety regulation, depression regulation, sifting through, finding the focus. I think it's a disservice, and I don't know, disingenuous comes in, and what was the other word I was thinking of? Delusional. That was one. To tell people that it's going to get better. Just hang in there. Things get better every day. Because it's not. I've been thinking about this all morning. The world around us isn't going to get better because it's not bad. It is what it is, right? There's the ebbs, flows, good. If we superimpose a judgment on it, the external, the things around us, with this presupposition or this ideology, that it's going to get better. When there are many conflicts at hand that still need to be resolved, they need to be addressed, to be resolved. They can't be swept under the rug or pushed down or suppressed in order to come to the revelation or reveal the truth. I have judgment over here too. That's sitting there. I was on the top of the Deviant Moon deck from yesterday. Back to judgment. You don't know. If things could get worse. Things can always be worse. With this presupposition that things are going to get better. Look what I found today at the park. There's also the assumption in hand, or the energy at hand in that work, or in that thinking, in that consciousness, because that's what those words are. It's a reflection of a state of consciousness, right? If you're grieving, grieve, and sit in it, and go through the motions, right? Patronizing, or this one. So this one I was thinking of in the shower. The try not tos. The don'ts and the try not tos, right? And the unsolicited advice, okay? There's unsolicited advice that comes in with don't, shoulds, try not tos, right? There's a psychological phenomenon. Eating with my food in my mouth, I'm sorry. There's a psychological phenomenon that goes something like this. Don't think of a pink elephant. In order to not think about the thing, or to try, which is not doing, it's the energy of creating an image of a thing in order to try not to do something physically, but the brain's dumb. If it imagines something, if it thinks something, then it thinks that it happened in all actuality. And when it comes to consciousness, we don't know what's real. Scientists have gotten us to the point where this is all just a dream, right? There is no separation. We don't really know. So emotions are energies to feel, right? So don't fear the unknown. That one is here. It was it's on the pile yesterday, but I didn't talk about it. And it's a 7. 7 came through too. There's balance in that. There's a wisdom in the energy of not going into that space, and instead of being in a space of managing whatever it is that you're feeling in the moment. We can look at the crow stuff. So the challenge, I guess, in this reading space is to sit with whatever is coming up for you in the moment, and there's going to be past thoughts and present thoughts, and you're going to want to label things and put judgments on things, or you're going to want to attune your consciousness frequency to be set mentally in one realm, while physically we're here in this realm. And the challenge is to be physically present together in whatever tangible realm we want to call this, right? Reality, okay? That shared experience of pains and pleasures, whatever, the spectrum. My son asked me yesterday, what's a spectrum? And he's 7 too. So how do you explain to a 7-year-old what a spectrum is? He loves rainbows and light. So a spectrum, right? From red to blue, everything in between, all of that. It's a spectrum of light, right? There are different vibrational elements and vibrational frequencies that consciously we can tune into. And maybe a mental picture here for how to do that, or how to tune into that, comes through neurodivergent work or research in neurodivergent laboratories, where I've gotten the honor of working with autistic persons. In these game breaks, and I've talked about this to a couple people, or I've mentioned this to people, there's this game, or other games and other technologies that are coming out called MindFlex, right? We had another game as well, but to shorten this for the sake of the video, there are electrodes, or there's like what do you want to call it? A remote headpiece that uses your mind powers to move the intensity, or to control the intensity of a fan, right? In order to move a foam ball around an obstacle course. Neurotypical people have a very difficult time tapping into this. They don't understand that I can use my mind powers to control something external to me, or something as simple as an electric frequency that controls something as simple as air, in which we breathe, right? So think about how your breath controls your energetic body. And I do this work with my son all the time too, as us both being in this, I don't even want to get into that, right? But so as we go into the spectrum and we go into neurodivergence, because I wonder if neurodivergence can't be learned in some sort of way. There's a neuromolecular biology, right, that through conscious awareness can create divergence in these pathways that allow us to tap into these other areas of our brains, right, these extrasensory perceptions. And being able to navigate that space is where we begin to get into our evolutionary processes, because it's not so much about being happy. And we have this culture set around, we have to feel a certain way, or we have to maintain an emotional vibrational frequency, right? That forces us somehow to, what do I want to say? Conform. There we go. Conform to our container, like water, right? It'll conform to the container in the shape that you put it in. You can ask questions in this space. You can ask them up here since we're on the subject of it, or you can write them in the comments. Other people might have those comments as well, right? But to this point that the kids on the autism spectrum that can tap into these games so easily and so readily, they can access this resource where, I mean, these games are so simple for them. Put on the electrodes, they can, navigate these really complex obstacles that neurotypical people can't even get the fan to move, right? Fascinating stuff. For this makes me think of spoon bending stuff too. Spoon bending has been fascinating, and I have a brilliant teacher who's introduced me to this concept, and I toil with this a lot. Perhaps in the cultivation, there's like this soil processing there where different layers that have been put on have to decompose into something more solid. But being able to use that mind power to bend metal, right? Metal's a conductor of electricity, to physically alter its appearance or its function, maybe. There's a challenge. Okay, so cards. Deviant Moon and then Tarot. This is that thinking, perhaps, in that decomposition. King of Wands. There's like a projection of sadness, of a wallowing, or telling people not to do something. We perhaps might be doing something, and to ourselves creating this sort of anger, barrier, rebellion, sense of I don't want to call it attack, but there's an urgency of wanting to redirect emotional energy into something. Perhaps this is why the mind flex is coming up and why the spoon bending is coming up. Because one of the biggest realizations that I've had in being able to consciously control and process emotions, because it's important information. There's healing in that. Okay, there's a block and a defense and a wall, because I think there's where you're not ready to hear it yet, and that's fine. Let's go into the Crow. But I think, okay, so it has something to do with judgment. How your judgments are going to also come out of these emotional states. And how your judgments of things separate of emotions are going to lead to like a disconnect consciously, or a dissociation. So the reassociation process, or coming back to the self consciously from a lot of these energies, is going to have to deal with King of Wands, that one too, King of Wands, Knight of Wands, I'm going to shuffle these ones from yesterday. Ooh, because just... in manifestation and trying to control and redirect that energy. The revelation, right? In bending rebar, it's not a physical strength because it's impossible. Or like buckling a spoon, it's not a physical strength because it's impossible. When you can allow yourself to feel that feeling in that moment, and you can channel it and redirect it, or just consciously register it as just energy, like electricity, right? Without putting the judgment or the label of mad, sad, glad, anxious, and just note it maybe with a number of because there's a surge, right? Psh, in intensity. Shh. So as that surge happens, this is where, again, back to evolution, we're learning how to redirect things, but it has to come through feeling. It's getting out of rationality thinking, or maybe there's a piece too, because if we're in a very rational based culture, okay, we'll back off there too. That's fine. Go this way. I think people just feel really boxed in and really shut in, and they're trying to control. So they want to find that control in the affects of others or things external to themselves. You can ask questions. Justice. The natives use the color red as a symbol of protection. Something about crowning or crowns came through yesterday too. Spiritual justice. I wonder if there's, let's look at symbolism of crowns. I looked up symbolism of white horse too. This is a polka dot horse. I haven't gotten that far into it. I'm a total research nerd, so you'll have to forgive me. It's part of my integral nature, I suppose. You know exactly. No, hey, it's fine. Let's crowns. Crown. Symbolism. Power, dignity, royalty, victory, wealth, strength, religion, dominance, glory, authority, divine rule, wisdom, enlightenment, however, can also symbolize pain and suffering. Because we want to judge or deem pain and suffering as something that's bad, or something that we want to push away or cover or change or control. Change is inevitable. That came through yesterday. So whether or not you will something to change, force something to change, there are things outside of your control and outside of your circumstances. So again, in not wanting to mislead people and not wanting to give people a false sense of hope, right? Because you don't want to just tell people things are going to be good and things are going to be great and things are going to be fine. Because what if they're not? What happens when they're not? If people don't have the skills and the tools, or like the strength and the understanding of how to work through those things, or if they don't have a concept for the biological phenomena of what is occurring without, again, superimposing these concepts or ideologies, it's blinded in this truth, or it's locking yourself in this box. Do I have it in here? I wonder if it'll pop up again. No, it probably won't. That's okay. It's kind of a scary image, and I don't want you to feel deterred by pain. Pain is something felt in the brain and not in the body, and so perhaps, again, well, the brain's stupid. The brain can't separate or distinguish. Embracing the dark comes up, but also be without malice. So there's an importance there, because you can have darkness without malice, right? Or without hate or violence or these things, because oftentimes wars, and I don't even know if this is true, but it seems as if wars are portrayed more during the day, head-on battles and confrontation, especially as we go back, although there are devious means taken at night where war also can occur, so it's not like it only occurs in one space. But if there's a need or there's a want, it's not so much about like, oh, save me, I need money, help, somebody rescue me. You know, I don't want to be connected to energies and resources that aren't of the highest good for all. And in recognizing these energetic potentials that come into space, the longing and the want and the need is for peace. Stillness and quietness, acceptance, or radical acceptance. This space of non-judgment and allowing and processing. The word Ubuntu comes to mind, and I don't even know that I would be pronouncing it right. Or whatever, it's that concept, right? Or there's an African tribe there's a story where this guy comes in and he's like, all right, whoever gets to the candy first or whatever gets it, and they all hold hands and they go and they get it together and they share it. It's not a competition. It's not a race to see who gets it. Haha, I got the cupcake, you don't. I'm going to stand here in front of you and eat it. There's not a connectivity there. There's an emotional disconnect, right? There's a devaluation or devolvement, or again, that crab bucket. So there's not an conscious evolutionary thing that's happening. But when we look at how we can shift all that, I don't know, then we're integrating and bringing together a lot of these different parts and these pieces. I'm going to smudge it again. This is going to be a shorter read, although we've already kind of been here for a little while. I won't take up too much of your time. Wednesday's a short day at school anyway, so it's performance art. It's an art space, it's a creative space. It's a self-reflective space and an experimental space, because if we are, an energetic soul riding around in different variations of meat suits, what is it that we are capable of doing? And we've done a lot externally outside of ourselves as far as technology goes, and we have people that want to integrate technology in the human forms or living forms, like these hybrid technologies. So understand the meat suit better, the capacity of the meat suit independent of the external. When you find yourself in the same place or the same room as somebody who has a lot, then you understand, or has more than you do, maybe on a material sense. You have to understand you're existing at the same, or in the same space at the same time, and somehow have arrived at the same point, because there is no separation. Or we just have these ideologies that we have to reach certain external things to have any sort of worth or value. And then so again, it devalues this energy. And this energy came up yesterday too, where although things have been spilled, sure, there's still love and hope, or there's still things that remain. But we're focusing on this stuff right now, and I think it's kind of important, and I don't want to judge it and be like, no, don't look at it, only look at the happiest stuff right now. Because in order to fix the hard things and the dark things or whatever, we have to look at it, we have to shine the light on it in order to be able to understand it and process it. So we have to go to these uncomfortable or places of discomfort in order to make these radical changes in leaps and creativity and innovation and in community engagement. And people don't or aren't willing or wanting to go there. Not everybody, some people are. I feel like as generations get younger or newer, or as these newer generations emerge, maybe that's a better way of putting it, things are on a frequency level climbing. Things are getting bigger, moving faster, and they're expanding, right? Energetically, in intensity and in frequency, and I think music is a good reflection of that. Maybe there's a Lauryn Hill interview or something that I had listened to where she had mentioned something about that with her children, and just like this I don't know, it's brilliant, this deep understanding of how we're relating to things. And so there has to be a wisdom in this slowing down aspect of it too, and not allowing things to get carried away or explode. But we can't hold on to things as they've always been either. There's a failure of adaptation in that. And that failure of adaptation, or maybe just the inability to experience or feel authentic emotions as they come up in the moment and truly understand the ins and outs of life and the human experience. Like, think of something you really, really want. How many people want that same exact thing? But here's the kicker. Picture a cat in your head. It's conceptual, right? We can agree, maybe, that a cat could be a cat if we see one. What's a sleeping kitty cat? Meow. Look how cute he is. But pretty sure that's not the cat you had pictured in your head. It's not the same image, it's a concept, right? So we can't ever want the same thing anyway. There's something that keeps popping up in my YouTube feed. There's a Navajo elder that I follow, that I listen to. And he goes into talking about their culture, and there are 2 videos that have popped up and how the Navajo don't have a concept. I may be paraphrasing that. If I can remember, maybe I'll put the video in the comment feed somewhere. I don't know that I can. But like, racism doesn't exist. It's a concept, it's a separation, and it's this ideology. That's not my words, it's a Navajo tradition. Like, don't come at me. I'm conveying a concept to you for you to integrate. It's an interesting trap. That's not really a trap. And I like the interpretation of the 8 of Swords as it comes up in a lot of different ways. So let's look at this one again. And we have these words, and these words that divide us. It's already the Tower of Babel. Because we assume that the concept of the cat and the image is the same, but it's not. Words are arbitrary. This could be a cat. I could name my lighter cat. In the context of conversation, right? It could be like, hey, hand me the cat. I need to light my candle. Anybody walking in would be like, well, that's crazy talk. What are you talking about? Where'd you, that doesn't make any sense. But in the realm of creativity and innovation, it doesn't really matter. It's arbitrary. Like money. It's arbitrary. It's a token economy. Anything material, it's part of that token economy. It's a system of exchange based on material and monetary goods that are deemed valuable by something external because it gains access to power. Basic resources like food and water, because there isn't an even exchange and a share all around. There's greedy people, greedy leaders. If we're talking about evolution or evolving, then we're talking about this, again, toral energy, where if we're coming into a new age of evolution as time progresses forward, was it like every 2,000 years or something like that? Perhaps in the realm of astrology, right? Then we start going into this notion of the Aquarian age, right? Lots of pictures in my head, sorry. Overwhelming images. Because words, right? Are you following me? Let me get back to the swords, because I don't want to get too carried away. We're 8 swords. Like, don't give it all away. Mourning. Like sadness mourning, not like early morning, nighttime. Introspection, fear, adversity. And aside from judgment, these things aren't bad. They are what they are, and they're teachers. They are part of the human experience that we have to have courage to experience, right? To energetically feel and process. This is gonna be interesting watching. Reflecting back on. I can't do that too much. Because then I get caught in these big novel loops, and these turn into movies, and all that my copyright permission. Swept up by the undertow, struggling to see a bright future, trapped in a pattern of negative beliefs, avoiding reality. Introspection is the key to freedom. Because Hermit came up yesterday too, so if you were here yesterday, there's an importance in that hermiting energy and introspecting. We started talking at the beginning of the video a little bit about how the external things around us aren't things that we have control over us. So it's stupid to be like, the greater it is going to be better tomorrow. When foretold in the greater future, in the realm of evolution, is extinction. So there's this perpetual survival instinct that we, all living species, maybe anything consciousness or whatever, may or may not have. But it's like a very subtle perpetual energy frequency from whatever that first initial, like, do I say it? The Big Bang? Because we're feeling that force and that push of all of everything that came before us. And as time advances, right, everything that comes before us gets bigger, so that push and that force propels us, right, to expand. Homo luminous or bust, man, that one definitely is sticking out. Thanks for that one, Tim Glenn. In regards to human evolution, and I guess this is where a lot of this stuff is going, and kind of where this container is going too, because I always wonder how to expand outside of this space, because I don't want to get out of the Facebook live streams, but there's a broader platform in which to discuss so many of these, so it all makes sense, so that you're not assuming. Because initiations came out too. Maybe as a whole, there's like morphic resonance theory, collective consciousness, and a greater expansion. I have to start diving into consciousness thoughts and theories and ideologies and research, and some of it is so bizarre. The quantum physical aspects of all of it. But we forget that, or we don't know that, or it's not ready-based access knowledge as far as how to introspect, therefore control one's own emotions. Because I think what is interesting is there's the introspect, there's that internal self, that thing, part of us that we can't see, that energy, that conscious, whatever right thing that we're talking about. Then there's the external material us, that's the meat suit, that disconnect that we don't understand, right? So if we're evolving and then connecting into this space, oh man, it's such a, I don't want to go too far into it, but I do. Let's go, we'll use the card as an anchor and a reference. Because if it gets, I don't want to lose you. I don't want it to get too far beyond. So we have to pull back and kind of take these baby steps into what introspection can do and how that internal intro can, I don't want to say manifest the extro, but heal or navigate that navigate the affective and effective way. Man, who's in here talking? Somebody's got a lot of questions. Somebody's loud. Whoever just came in. Talk about pictures and energy shifts. Yeah, it's a funny space to be in. Released from your shackles, liberation from suffering, choosing to move on, find the silver lining, an initiation into a higher realm. But you have to go through the feeling to come out on the other side. You can't, feel around it. And this is where the resistance comes up, or where people want to battle or fight or feel dang, why is it all so difficult? Because the struggle is real. The Modest Mouse song is coming up again, too. If it takes shit to make bliss, then I feel pretty blissfully. And if life's not beautiful without the pain, then I'd rather never even see beauty again. Because how many people are surrounded by beauty but don't feel pain or haven't experienced or don't want to feel anything other than happy all the time. And if you do, and if you can find this peace and this contentment, I think it's something, that bliss, right? That bliss is not happiness. It's different. That blissful feeling, that it's an energetic, expanded, beyond light body feeling. That's that luminous body, that blissful body that's not attached to, or practices non-attachment. Like, Buddhism is good, Buddhism is cool, yeah, but go deeper. Go into the Tao. Go into more ancient philosophies than that. Because even that stems from somewhere. Thank you for coming in. live videos, where the videos stay up for a while. I try to keep them up. Some of them I think about not, but it's fine. I don't know, I love this space. I'm an expressive artist. I don't know. People want to take things so literally sometimes. The world. All the things that make the world go round. There's that crown again. But crown, like suffering, like Jesus, it's kind of in the middle of it all. Or like the Christ consciousness concept. There's a beauty in it all. And that's why art exists and movies exist. And how ironic that people can sit and watch horror movies and these terrible, awful things and vicariously experience these very difficult things through these imagined scenarios. But they can't sit with their neighbor's emotions without somehow is extraditing them. I don't think that's the right word. What do you want to know now? We've got maybe like 10 more minutes and we'll be an hour into it. I don't know how much longer I got. I know there's another question though. Should I pull out another deck? Yeah, let's do that. Because we've been kind of dabbling into these ones for the last couple of readings as I've been getting back into these after a couple of months hiatus. Why hiatus? Guided to, if that part of it makes sense. I've had some interesting experiences throughout my life which have led me to this work and this practice and the belief systems that I do. There are points in reason and value in showing up consciously the way that I do, because again, these things are thought through and with deep purpose and deep meaning. It's not a superficial call for attention. So look at superficiality. It's something that bothers me. But at the same time intrigues me. Because so many people and so many societies function on this level. So again, without judgment, we can't call it good or bad, because there's a learning potential, or there's something in it within the evolutionary concept itself. Okay, that being said, since we're talking so much about the scientific aspect of it, because I feel like I don't know if it's trying to validate or explain, or maybe just take a different perspective, or just, I don't know, trying to show up and commit to this space on a regular basis and having something to talk about. Okay, so women of science, we'll look at the, because the emotions are tough, the emotions are hard, and people don't want to be in that feeling space. They want to be in this rational space, and I think that's why there's so much of this masculine impulse to try to, making it up, lineate things, to make things linear, to put something at the front and put something at the end, right? But again, in this like evolutionary energy thing, the Aquarian thing, right? We're going from the Piscean, the I, me, mine, into the Aquarian, which I always thought was interesting because in that sort of cyclical dynamic, if I'm correct, it's the astrological chart moving in its inversion, not how we would read it as our sun cycle goes, but as in like the retrograding or the inverting energy of it all. Let me clear these birds out of the way. Let's move these crows. Okay, they're gonna go over there into our box. Our animals are gonna go back into this box. Okay, we're gonna start again with focus and then act. Again, you were born to create, let go of the old things from yesterday perhaps, but also respect your boundaries, see the truth, seek your destiny, okay? Time to ground, let's do it. We're going to ground into the Women of Science. This is a cool deck. MIT did it. So I like that there's an integral aspect between academia and the more esoteric. The quantum dynamics of consciousness that play into divination without the judgments or the presuppositions of good and evil. Like, we're not warranting in, we're not pulling in anything, we're discussing, right? Nothing is foretold, but we're bringing up ideas and understanding so that you can introspect, look within, and begin your healing and evolutionary process, right? We can't evolve as a species if we all are like little lemmings and go jumping off the cliff. And it kind of seems like that's what's been happening in the last few years as things like crime rates climb, sexual assault, domestic violence stuff is going up, suicide rates, all these horrific things are climbing. Like little lemmings, we're just jumping off of a freaking cliff. And it needs to stop. Like little lemmings, wake up. Okay. So nothing is to be foretold. It's getting people into this energetic space of healing and consciousness so we can begin to communicate beyond language as a concept, right? Or language as if words are something real and tangible just because we can write them down. Cool. We're going to look at astronomer and comet hunter, Caroline Lucretia Herschel. I'll pull 3 of them. We'll talk about 3 ladies here, and then I'm going to wrap up this space. Okay. Marie Maynard Daly, a biochemist. So we're going to talk a little bit about biochemistry, astronomy, and the World popped up. The World and the Hermit. The World's come out in 3 decks so far. All 3 decks so far. We'll talk about Maria Sabia Marian, naturalist and illustrator, the artist. Okay, so these 3 ladies, the World, and I'll take one more major arcana because I don't like things in 4 and not a big fan of even numbers. I like pulling in odd numbers, so we'll pull these ladies in 5. So these 3, and just because he's down here too, we'll discuss it and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about that devil energy in the World because it's important. And it plays such a huge role into all of this. People who practice and worship Satanism, that's interesting. but it's not fully integrated. Again, like, go back to the Tao, go back to a more ancient practice. But these are wanting to get interdimensional or like trans-dimensional. And people who want to be able to access multiple dimensions from one dimension, or tapping into multiple dimensions from this dimension. So we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like too, because you have to be careful. Very, very, very careful. All kinds of books and research and knowledge on that. Let's look at Caroline first. This is such an interesting book. It's the Astro, which is the intellectual mental realms, truth in the air. Oh, there I am, right on her. I like the book a lot because it's got the name, a little saying. Eventually I'll figure out how to flip my camera around. I tried one time in my day. Let's see. You can outgrow the limitations placed on you. I think that's some of what I've been feeling a lot lately, or like the growing pains in the environment, right? Because we have these containers and we want to expand beyond our containers. And so when we reach the boundaries of the container and it's pushing 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 and there's that pressure building up. It's interesting working with that energy, I guess. Because there's a lot of feelings in there, right? It's painful. Breaking out of something, outgrowing something. Like shoes that are too tight. Or pants that are too tight. And limitations placed on you. So the judgments placed on you as well. So when you're having an experience or an emotional experience or something and somebody is witnessing that and they're placing a judgment on your experience, that's a limitation placed on you. A limitation in that somebody views you are limited in your ability to grow and adapt, which really is just like a really shitty feeling. You're like, oh, you think of me like that? Ooh. Do you have a concept for anything beyond that? Maybe not. So let's open up that conceptualization a bit and learn something and humble ourselves. Okay. Caroline, Lucretia, Mrs. Herschel. 5 is a lot about instability and change, because there's, in the realm of change, there is instability. And again, we want to judge instability as something bad. And if we label it bad, it's therefore punishable. And if it's punishable, then therefore it's this justifiable concept that we can direct our energy into harming somebody or hurting somebody, and then somehow justifying that through language. Come on, do better. Do better. Quit name calling people. There's a challenge for you as far as consciousness goes. Don't call people names, and anytime you call somebody a name, or you want to name them, or you want to label them, catch yourself on it. Just become aware of it. Note, what would make me want to label or call somebody this or that, or say somebody's that? Because you're putting a limitation on them. Especially if they believe it. Right? People are like clay, some of them. Growing up in Germany in the mid-18th century, Caroline Herschel never enjoyed the privilege of a formal education. Fortunately, her brother William took her on as an assistant in his work as a court astronomer to King George III. Something about fortune in there, because again, you can't control your circumstances. You never know. You just never know. There's so many privileged people out there. There's so many fortunate people out there who have so much given to them and handed to them so they don't have to feel pain and they don't have to struggle. Some of them come up with beautiful things, or, there's beauty in that. There can be. There's no pain and there's no struggle. What is ugly in that is the judgment on something outside of that or something different than that. To be less than or unworthy or not beautiful. So if you have this lack of privilege, right, you can still, just through luck, receive fortune and vice versa. So if you have a lot and you're very fortunate and very privileged, you could receive bad luck too. Just out of nowhere, because you can't control your external environment and can't control your circumstances. It'll be amazing to see once you understand that, or once you integrate that into your conscious awareness, how much things around you begin to change quickly, or how much it seems like you're losing control, right? And then you'll feel the emotions, and then you'll experience things, and then there's going to be hecticness and chaos. There she learned the tools of her trade, crafting telescopes by accurately grinding and polishing mirrors, scanning the night skies with them, and discovering stars, comets, and nebulae. Later in life, Herschel was the first woman to be named an honorary member of the Royal Astronomical Society. Right? You can do things in unconventional ways, right? This is unconventional. I don't mean that it doesn't work. You do what you do. You use the resources that you have, and then, okay, fine, there you go. Accept it and be grateful and have goals. If you want more, ask yourself why. Let's look at Marie Maynard Daly, biochemist. These are all different suits, too. So we were just in the astro. This is the micro. She's the queen. So in the micro realm in the deck, ironically enough, because our next card is about creativity, quite literally on the card, the micro aspect, as far as the suit, right? Creativity, passion, and fire. The queen. Okay, that concept. Pragmatism and experience, entrenching existing knowledge or perspectives. Pragmatism and experience, entrenching existing knowledge or perspectives. Your health comes first no matter what. I love that. I'm going to look at Caroline's one more time. She is 5. You can outgrow the limitations placed on you. And your health comes first no matter what. Your health comes first no matter what. There are a lot of self-sacrificing people out there who put their own health aside to what? The first African American woman to obtain a chemistry PhD. In the United States, Marie Maynard Daly performed crucial research in the fields of chemistry, molecular biology, and cardiology. That's the heart, right? Early in her career, she did groundbreaking research on the properties of the building blocks of DNA and protein metabolism. We were talking about anxiety at the beginning of this a little bit. Anxiety as an energetic modality. The heart, cardiology, right, is an electromagnetic space where a lot of that anxiety is felt. Your heart rate, right, is going to determine so much of your health. You can control your heart rate through your breath, through air, through consciousness, right? Back to that mind flex game. It's pretty much just controlling the speed of your heart. Another point I was trying to get at earlier too, just because it looks chaotic on the outside, on the external, right? Just because there's an emotion happening on the outside doesn't mean that the introspective inside isn't calm and balanced and centered and grounded, and vice versa, right? Because things aren't what they seem. So there's a lot of people who have a very, let's say, unexpressive, unemotional exterior, but their introspective core and the inside is very turbulent. And you can feel it in an intuitive sense, an intuitive level, and you might register it as an anxiety within your own body, or I don't know, you'll have some sort of visceral reaction to it, just as much as you will with somebody who is in double alignment. So if it's inner chaos and inner turmoil on the outside and on the inside, you'll know threat, danger, warning. It's a very clear sign of, like, you just know, it's a very primal, instinctual thing, just as the other alignment is too, which is ultimately what we're going toward and striving for in our evolutionary capacity, right? Is the ability to have that calm, centered groundedness on the inside and on the outside, so that there's health, mind, body, spirit, or body, mind, spirit all the way through. Just putting the caps on all of the paints here, so nothing dries out. Okay. Another thing about anxiety, if you're having a lot of anxiety, eat protein. Protein plus aminos, amino acids. Aminos are building blocks for proteins. Full registered full body diet, and drink lots of water. Decaf. Her work was so transformative to the field that James Watson and Francis Crick cited it in their famous 1962 Nobel Prize address. Later in life, she conducted team research that provided the first evidence of a connection between high cholesterol, clogged arteries, high blood pressure, and heart attacks, which saved an incalculable number of lives. Heart health. Yay, JQ. You're here. That's fun. I mentioned spoon bending earlier. I hope you felt me. I think about you a lot. Soil. It's all soil. It's like a compost pile. Welcome to the compost heap, little seeds. Our roots are getting deeper. Yes, they are. Okay, so speaking of roots, we've got plants and nature in here, naturalist and illustrator. That makes sense with Maria Sabia Marian. We'll talk a little bit about the world and the devil energies, and then we'll wrap it up. And I wonder if I can do it in the next 20 minutes. I'm not sure. But 12:12, that's fun. There's lots of things to look at here. But I can only do so much at one time, so let's focus. Let me find her real quick. I'm gonna make a marker here with Carolina. We're gonna make a marker here with Marie, and then we're gonna talk about Maria. Let's see. Marie. Yeah. Ma Marie. Yeah. Ma Maria, I love you. I think my dad. He's thinking about me. Okay. the macro. So we talked a little bit about the micro, and the astro, as above, so below, mind, body, spirit, within, without. Okay. Money, work, and earth. Pragmatism and experience, entrenching existing knowledge or perspectives. Surround yourself with objects of importance. Okay, I like the order of this. You can outgrow the limitations placed on you. Your health comes first no matter what. And surround yourself with objects of importance. So it's not quantity, it's quality. Quality, not quantity. Not a whole lot here, but whatever it is, hopefully it's quality. Okay. Laughter is the key to manifestation. Welcome to the ebbs and flows. Mary Anning spent her entire life in the small seaside village of Lyme Regis, but she knew how to amuse herself. She unearthed incredible fossils of ancient marine vertebrates and invertebrates, including plesiosaur specimens, specimens, which had previously been unknown to science. And me, apparently. Though often passed over in scientific circles due to her gender, she was a tireless collector who had a large impact on the field of paleontology. Despite being poor and having no way to attend scientific conferences or publish the results of her work, Anning made enormous contributions to the newly emerging field of paleontology. From her small seaside village, she helped change people's perceptions of extinction and evolution. Interesting, because I've been talking about extinction and evolution in this one. Or evolution. So it doesn't take much. It doesn't take a whole lot to contribute a whole lot. And maybe that's part of why I've just never had much. Like, I've always just been in poverty. Because it doesn't take much to do a lot with. And I'd like to know what it's like to not be, just to know what it's like to not be. I wonder which I'd like better. There's something in simplicity, I suppose. Or in the painting, or in the nature, and just being natural. So maybe that's where some of the superficiality comes into play, where you think of like the millionaires and billionaires who have this very superficial facade of worth and brilliance, or at least what it means to be alive. Because how many of those people have all those resources and all of those things, but still come to places like this looking for answers or looking for guidance, and then don't contribute or don't support financially or don't reciprocate on that energetic level? There's been, I want to say maybe three that I know have looked into this space, that I know are at least millionaires. I know. But it's interesting because that's not that's not making them quote unquote happy or fulfilled, or there's quantity there, but where's the quality and the contribution to the evolution of humanity? There's a density within like the middle of the spectrum where it's not extreme on one side or the other, where it seems like it gets fat in the middle, like the belly, like the energetic spectrum. So if we're talking about the rainbow and that light frequency part of it, right? Then there's the grounded red to the purple, right, crown. In the middle, which is our yellow, our solar plexus, that powerhouse identity, ego, like the sun, right? We want to expand from there, or we're told to expand from there in some of these practices, or there's like a I don't know, I just think of the bellies that expand and protect physically to want to somehow compensate for emotional protection or spiritual protection or something. Does that make sense? Like people who put on weight for energetic preservation, like it's a false sense of armor. But something about that core, or mediating that core, and I guess filtering out that energy, or like if I had a visual, right, there would be like the rainbow tube column. It's all squishy and moldable, right? And then the energy condenses or whatever in the middle, and it expands and it tightens down here at the bottom. So if you can like squish that energy, right, so that it all evens out, like a balloon, or like a balloon animal kind of comes to mind too. Shaping things like a balloon animal, can't twist it too much. That's a weird picture to have in my head. I wonder what that's about. That's fine. Okay, let's talk about the world and maybe the devil kind of at the same time. Maybe this one. But there's a lot of these energies, the darker energies going through. I've been going over Dante's Inferno again, and every once in a while I'll refer back to the text and the material, and dive kind of into the symbolism of the different layers and the processes, and how it is a tool or a guide for dealing with these things. Things of importance around you, quality, not quantity, or just importance, because that quality, again, it's an intrinsic judgment, one that shouldn't be deemed by the external. What is the devil here? There's the world. The world, humanity's ability to alter our own form and function, and that's a lot about what I'm talking about in the realm of evolution and Homo luminous, right? Or going into this conscious aspect of being able to heal the self and the body. These are like grad school ideologies and concepts too. Some of this is stuff that I've discussed in my radio show, and some of the blogs are like video things that I've put out there on YouTube. But a lot of stuff that I had in my radio show on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, Cultivating Consciousness. I did that for a little while. Every Wednesdays from like 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. for 2 hours, right? I kind of miss that space. But I think a lot of the concepts and ideas, or what I'm talking about today, can be found there too, or just referenced as a spot there. Possibility of wholeness and completion. I guess I'll show it to you and then I'll read it to you. Ask yourself if it looks like you. A woman in a purple suit crosses a circular wreath of DNA, looking back into the past while her body moves forward into the future. She's holding two scientific tools, a futuristic version of the magician's tools, which she uses to read and modify her own genome. The spirit of creation, symbolized by the magician, has now come to fruition with the world. Science started with answering simple questions about the world around us, but now it has the potential to shape our own evolution. See? The woman stepping through the wreath represents the ending of a cycle, a lull before the next big cycle. The word that keeps coming to mind too over the last couple of weeks when it comes to the energy, not only my own but collective, and what a lot of people have been going through, just things that have been coming up in the astrology or whatever, is crescendo. And there's just in my head this very loud, like, orchestra of instruments and cymbals and all the noise, and everybody's just before there's a lull and a peace, and then we begin again. Like a song and a dance, or just this very, it's an epic. That's why epics exist and stories exist and have existed throughout history, no? There's lessons to be learned in it. Where are you, Mr. D-Man? Oh, I can't even assume that. There you are. This is in a very business sense. Ownership, patents, and corporate greed. Temptation, enslavement, unhealthy relationships, materialism, bondage. That's what I'm talking about, right? Corporate greed, the greediness. Freedom from restraints. Breaking from addictions and intellectual freedom. That's why I like this space. There's intellectual freedom for me here. There's not a container of groupthink or having to show up like everyone else in the group. Or having to bite my tongue because I don't want to like hurt somebody's feelings, or somebody else needs to get, whatever. And it's not like the academic container where things have to be very, very tightly tied, very knitted, very succinct, a very specified order. I can do this however I want. Fuck. Okay, let's read about the devil, because there's just so much of like, you can't do it like that. No, don't. Try not to do this. Just this like, and not out of bad will, out of goodwill. Maybe. I don't know. There's no judgment there. It's not good or it's not bad. I mean, it is what it is, but at the same time, my new favorite superhero right now and superhero movie right now is the Spider-Man multiverse. Right? The animated version of it. And Miles Morales. And this boy, man, he just resonates. It just, the story just is empowering. And I want there to be a number 2 version. I want the second one to come out already. I want there to be I want there to be the birth of the second one. I want there to be the next one. I want to know what it is. Like, and just anticipating, because I can see it and I know that it's coming, and I want to immerse myself in the experience of it. But I have to be patient. You have to be patient. We have to be patient because of whatever I guess this is. Okay, then we'll wrap it up. It's almost 12:30. Good. I'm staying kind of within my time frame, so I can just talk and talk and talk and talk. The devil represents corruption. Traditionally, the card depicts two people willingly shackled to a classic vision of Satan. Our devil, meanwhile, is the god of capitalism, sitting on the paywall of patents and proprietary journals, which prevent science from being freely shared for the benefit of society. I think education should be free for everybody. I love academia so much. The resources that I have been able to tap into and access in those realms are just, there's so much knowledge there. There's so many books that I want to read. Like, I wish I had that superpower where I could just like touch a book and then all of the knowledge in the book would be there. I would read everything. But I'm tired. I'm so tired. I think a lot of people are just tired and exhausted because of the corporate greed, maybe, right? Because of the capitalistic society that is telling us to re-divert our energies into material things or into these superficial practices of wealth and greed instead of the natural environment. We're back into the people who have supported us. Although science is a collective effort, built upon the efforts of many generations, a few scientists still fall victim to pride and try to preserve ownership of their research. And there are a lot of people out there too, and I don't even want to call it a lot, but there are sciences out there and researchers out there, people out there who give science a bad name, and who've done an injustice to some of the contributions that the knowledge and whatnot can have. They're learning experiences, right? These unhappy souls are represented as demons shackled to the wall and blinded by their greed, handing over the precious fruits of their work to the devil in exchange for material rewards. There are a lot of people out there who like sold their soul to the devil for these quick things, or who just do things in a somewhat unethical or impractical way for the benefit of greed and wealth, or without really knowing or caring whether or not it's for the greater good. Do I stop here? Are we there? Are we at the end? Hedy Lamarr in The Moon come up, actress and inventor. I love her. I love her so much. She's another one of my North Stars. I love old classic films, old classic movies. I want to be in a movie. I miss being in film. I've done a couple of them, independent films. The art, the expressive part of it, the expressive platform. Smudge this space? Yes, there you go. I have 200 stars. Where did those come from? That's fun. I really do love this space a lot. I'm very grateful for the people that do show up into this space. I am available for private readings. You can reach out. We can do video sessions. You can write me. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways we can get information across. I just know that the people that come to me when they need me, and I don't want to, what do I want to say? It's a sacred space, and it's a sacred container, so I don't want to pollute that energy with, bringing in the wrong people for the wrong purposes. That's why my prices are always flexible. In donation based, I don't know, whatever. It's not about that. Because resources can come through a lot of different ways. Do you have any other questions? I'll go back to the Messenger Oracle and kind of wrap it up with our animal guides here, because there's a lot of information in this one. This is long. Talk a lot. Thanks for listening. I care. How do you show that you care? Do you show that you care? This one's on here. It's card 42, which is also the meaning of life. I care about people's problems and people who are in these places where they need whatever. I don't know. Like, it's okay. There's non-judgment. What else do you want to know? Do not distance yourself from life and those around you. Reach out. That came out yesterday too. Just reach out and reach out and reach out, and like, it can take 100 no's to get a yes. It could take 1,000 no's to get a yes, but reach out and 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 reach out. Ask for help or support if you have need, or if someone within your circle is in need of care and support, then give it without hesitation or question. That's how it is. And like, if you really, really need it, okay, that's fine. You know, there doesn't have to be that. Like, if you're in a desperate, dire situation, please reach out. Don't let resources stop you. There's one thing that I've learned in my life, in my journey, because it's just been hard. It's just been difficult, and I've learned to accept that, and that's fine. And that's why I've gotten to this space where, like, you know, I might wake up tomorrow and it's not going to be better. It's going to be hard and it's going to be difficult, and I can just try and do better myself and be better myself and feel better and all of that, or whatever that is. But like, if you just ask, if you just reach out, there's so many kind people out there who are willing to help and willing to support, and there have just been so many kind, gracious people throughout my life who have taught me so many amazing things, and I love giving that energy back. You know, it feels good. It feels really, really, really good. Humility and humbleness feels good. It feels soft and fluffy. A trouble shared is a burden halved. Oh, we talked about that a little bit yesterday. Now is not the time to withdraw and be alone, nor is it time to leave another in need. Be aware, be caring, be compassionate, reach out and be a friend, and allow others to be a friend to you. It's like, if you can't reach out to help, reach out for help. What is another thing that I've seen lately too? The buddy bench. I don't know if that's popped up somewhere in your field, where there's like the red bench at school, and the mom asks, why is that bench painted red? And then the kid's like, that's the buddy bench. So if you're sad, or if you're whatever, if you're not feeling whatever, you can go and sit on the buddy bench, and somebody will come up and be like, hey, come play with us. And they'll want to be your buddy. Can we have a buddy bench? Can we make this a buddy bench? How does that happen? I'm just yapping and yapping and yapping. I'm really grateful. There's a lot of energy here. I've got a little bit of time today that I could squeeze a reading in. I've got time in the morning tomorrow, and I've got like all day Friday, and I've got all weekend or whatever. Let's smudge it. What else? I didn't really pull a card. Honor Gaia. Honor nature. Follow the moon. I don't know. The moon came up. Maybe that'll be something to talk about tomorrow too. The moon energy. Moon stuff. Moon cycles. I have a really great network of people here on this space, and I'm trying to figure out how to hybridize it between this and the larger platform. So I don't know. Thanks for bearing with me in all of it. And all of that fun stuff. Can we get one more? Maybe one more. Honor Gaia. That feels obvious. Like your temple, your body. Honor that too. Your health is really important. Trust in magic. That's the crow deck though too. Was that going to kind of bring us full circle? Maybe. I have a lot of thoughts about magic. Let's see what this says. Magic is the mysterious and coincidental. It is at the heart of those moments of synchronicity and knowing. It is woven into the awareness that there is more to life than what you can see. It is born of the moment when you step without fear and with loving heart into the void. Voice your desire and have Great Spirit send his messengers to show you the way. Trust in magic. It is real and it surrounds you. Trust fall feels like a good one too. Like just like you can't really control things, so just like submit to the flow. I don't know if it's more like, I don't think it's like the hocus pocus magic so much that they're talking about, but it's a narrow concept that I think we can relate to with this culture. But maybe we need a new word for it, or a new concept, or a new language, or maybe it's just that feeling or that sensation you get when you look at somebody and you just know, like telepathic almost. Books and stuff everywhere else. I don't know, reach out. Awkward endings and whatever. Farewells for the day. Anything else? Nope. Alright, let's go.